Hey, one and all, this is your pal Drew Geraci, and I've got some more comics, both from my spinner rack and some new purchases that are going to find a home in my spinner rack. And you're probably saying, Drew, how many friggin' comics do you have in your spinner rack? Well, I do rotate some of the stock. I'll have, if it gets too full, I'll just say, well, it's been here for a while. So, but you don't care. It's Killraven, man. This came out about 2003. Written and drawn by Alan Davis and inked by his star inker, Mark Farmer, who's also written some stuff as well and had Alan Davis pencil it. And, Killraven, it's a Silver Age hit. No. Yeah, so, excuse me, Bronze Age hit now, but it really didn't sell that well. And it was bi-monthly, and it was very erratic in the beginning with a bunch of different artists until a young P. Craig Russell came along, and each issue he got better and better. But it hit cancellation because it just wasn't your traditional superhero stuff. And Don McGregor, his writing is not very typical superhero stuff. It's very wordy, but it's very he sort of writes in a poetic fashion, and people want to see slugfest comics, or that's just not where they're going. So anyway, but it's cool. What's really interesting is Killraven has his original costume back that was designed by Neil Adams, which changed, I don't know, about a year or two later, and this was based on the costume that Sean Connery wore in what's it called, Zardos or something like that. It's a real goofy movie. But, so let's get to this. It's really spiffalicious. And Alan Davis is one of those guys. He's an artist's artist. It's like he doesn't get the hype and the promotion that he deserves, but he's never done a bad panel. I love that. Look at the heft of Killraven pulling that creature down. And you got old friends like Michelle kicking ass. And the coloring it's restricted. It's limited, so it doesn't look like a video game, which works. So they knocked down this one creature. This is genuinely creepy. Is it dead? It is, and soon will be. Give me a second. I soon will be. Thank you. I have prayed for the day when someone would kill me. This thing that I was grafted onto. Once I was one of the slave scientists, but I spoke out against their vile experiments. This was my punishment. Cerberus, they called us. It amused them then. To know my life would be sustained by this vile thing, while I could do nothing but watch and listen and feel. I was just like, whoa, that is some dark shit. That's just a great line. So you have this new woman called Mint Julep. I love that name. So you still got things going on. This guy in the middle here, he reminds me of Wally Wood. Something he would draw, it's one of his humor strips. But there was also a toy in the early 70s that if you squished it, his eyes would bug out and his ears would bug out. So I wonder if it was like a nod to that. There's Volcano. And the layouts are great. He's got that Neil Adams layout thing going, and you can see everything that's going on. And you'll see some people who try and pull that off, and it's horrible. Wow, man, oh man. Really, really good stuff. I didn't know this even existed. So I've got issue 4, and I got to get 1 through 3, 5, and 6. And I'm really enjoying it. And there's Old Skull. He's kind of a slow adult, but he comes up with pearls of wisdom once in a while, and very, very interesting cast. Really good stuff. So let's go on to Brock's. On to the Amazing Spider-Man 283. You got the Absorbing Man, always a fan favorite, and you've got Titania, who she got her powers. She's basically the same strength as She-Hulk, and she got her powers on Battle World, where Secret Wars took place, the original, and they became a couple. So I love that back view of Spider-Man, besides his butt, is it's really a neat visual, whether it's a black costume or whether it's the red costume. And I think the red and blue costume first appeared with like this sort of pose was John Romita doing issue 121, where Gwen Stacy is revealed to have died at the end, and it's been done quite a few times since, and it just looks cool. I don't know. So this is by Bob Layton, the cover, and this was. At this time, I had stopped reading Spider-Man because I mentioned in another episode, actually on my other channel called Drew Geraci Comics, they kept messing with who was the Hobgoblin, and originally they thought they worked things out, and then Jim Owsley, who he admitted on his own website that he effed with the creators because Jim Shooter would do that a lot. He would kind of do last minute changes, and just it was kind of cruel. And but he said you don't give a 22-year-old a book like Spider-Man to edit, and he went on to become Christopher Priest. So then you get Ron Frenz, the regular penciler, and you have Tom DeFalco and Bob Layton as finisher. So this is Flash Thompson. He's on the run. He was revealed to be the Hobgoblin in public, and he went to jail, but then there was a jailbreak with some supervillains, and he was dragged along unwillingly, so now he's a refugee. So, and here she is, Titania, in her costume, really badass looking costume. She's hitting a jewelry store because she got tired of hiding out in her apartment. And in the Secret Wars, Spider-Man actually beat her, and a lot of it was because he had this agility. He would zip around and, basically he did kind of like what he did to Firelord. Just kept hitting really fast and really hard and took her out, so she's fleeing. And she throws a van in the meantime. Man, it's beautiful stuff. And he's like, "Where you been? Don't go unless it's necessary." And he reaches in, finds some diamonds. He turns into diamonds. He's pissed off, but he goes, "We ain't on our own anymore. We're working with the Masters of Evil now." See recent issues of the Avengers. Just to let continuity-wise, this takes place during one of the Avengers' worst eras. What I mean is, there's not the creative team, but the situation. The Master of Evil basically have like 12 or 15 bad guys. They have the whole wrecking crew. They've got, Zorba Man, Titania, Goliath, the bad one who used to be Power Man, and several others, Mr. Hyde, and they cripple, Mr. Hyde starts breaking bones, Jarvis's bones, and Cap has to watch helplessly. But it's started by Baron Zemo, the son of the original Baron Zemo. So this takes place right before that. Excuse me. And lots of subplots being covered here. So yeah, there's Dr. Doom giving her power for some reason. I don't know. It's just weird. Then I met Dr. Doom, and he gave me more power than I ever believed possible. But it wasn't enough to beat Spider-Man. All my strength was useless against his speed and agility. I couldn't lay a hand on him, so he lost a fight. So now she's afraid of him. More subplots. And the car was delivered up on this roof. "You fool! You saved me the trouble of hunting you down." She's talking big, but Spider-Man's doing this thing again, where he runs the rings around her, and then Zorba Man gets involved, and Spidey does one of those things again where he zips around and hits him. I love that because in the 70s, man, Spider-Man was a wimp. He was like losing to the Grizzly. He was losing to the Tarantula, who only thing he had was pointed shoes with poison and stuff. And it wasn't until Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. that his Spider-Man's his power level and his speed level were back to what they should have been. So Crusher Creel is out. She's terrified. And get away from my man. And they're wrestling. Love this page. Enough, this battle wins now. So he goes, get real, Creel. This airport's got to be surrounded by cops by now. Look at me, I'm shaking. Well, you got to cut a deal? This plane ain't getting any lighter. You win, Creel. I quit. So everybody says, he's a coward, all that. And the whole reason, Absorbing Man, he wasn't really out cold. He wanted his girlfriend to get her nerve back. Yeah, and so he succeeded in that. Now, that sort of thing would be revisited when DeFalco and friends went over Mighty Thor. I guess in the late 80s or the early 90s, I can't remember which, because they did years of the book. And they had an issue where Hercules, he got beat real bad during the Avengers Mansion invasion. They all wailed on him, and he actually was temporarily brain damaged because of it. So what happened is he was hanging out with Thor, and the wrecking crew showed up, and Hercules had this once in a millennia fear of battle. And so Thor pretended to be out cold to Hercules. So it's a good idea, It wasn't like they did it like a week after. So Mr. X. Man, it's a beautiful comic. All the issues have unique designs to them. They all have different logos, different color. The only thing that remains the same is that Mr. X is basically an albino, I think. And mostly he doesn't come out into the light, and that is why he's so, why he's so. Well, it's created and designed by Dean Moder, who's done a lot of other stuff. He did a DC book that was a adaptation of The Prisoner. It was supposed to be like another episode of the TV show. So Jaime and Gilbert Hernandez from Love and Rockets, they started off as masters of the craft, like in 1980 when Love and Rockets came out. Colored and lettered by Paul Ravoche, an outstanding creator also. He did it was a Batman black and white backup strip that was in Batman Gotham Knights, I think it was, and he did one that he did it in black and white with gray tones, and it was one of the best backup stories. So I love the simplicity, but the coloring is just beautiful. And what I like about this, see, it's sort of the present, but there's a little more of science fiction and odd stuff to it. And the amazing thing is, the Hernandez brothers can draw people very natural, like that pose where she's kind of tiptoeing and knocking the plant over by accident. That is so natural. It just kind of goes. That's something that's tricky to do, When you're having characters and there's gravity and they're moving, you have to keep that in mind. I love this guy in the middle here. Love that. So there's Mr. X. And she says something to him, but he won't believe it. Also, dig the hair. It's very much kind of in advance of before. I don't know if it was Patrick Nagel or Brian Stelfreeze, but that hard tapers, see where like the points of white poke into the points of black, and it's like a reverse right there. I learned that from both Brian and Dave Johnson, who I assisted for about 7 months, and he taught me a lot. So anyway, Mr. X goes back to his girlfriend Mercedes. It's like, God, you have to do it in front of me? I need it for my work. Mercedes, simply turn away. Needles, burr. When was the last time you slept, Santos? A week ago, 2 weeks? Sleep is such a waste of time. So much to do and so little time to do it. So he's just really, very bizarre, very scary. And, well, he gets found out by these guys in a car. And look at that shadow. Oh, I love that exaggerated, cartoonish. See, he's not perfect. Maybe if you got some sleep. But I just love that. I love the fine line hair on the older guy. Beautiful stuff. I really recommend the series. And I like how the color palette, I mean, aside from the walls being that great, it looks like brick or rust. And then, a panel or two ahead before, it's more of a red. And, it's because you have things, when you're looking at something from one angle, it may look darker or lighter. Just like this woman here. She's not blue, but that's just her way in the foreground. That is like an artistic cue to let you know that, she, even though her head is big enough that you would know that. So, to be continued. So, beautiful, beautiful book. And I'm going to go to something that's tremendous superhero fun. It's Len Wein and Paris Cullins who did Blue Beetle in issue 1, which was the revival of the series. Dick Giordano bought all the action heroes that Charlton had, and that included Blue Beetle, The Question, Captain Atom, a little of everything, Peacemaker, and what's that woman's name? Nightshade, yeah. So they started, this was the first book, excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. This was the first book that got published of any of those characters. And it lasted about 30 issues, I think. And Len Wein, who's writing with help of R.J.M. Losafiar. The only time I've ever seen his name was when Roy Thomas, in the 90s, he used him a lot on Doctor Strange when it came to doing the occult and all this stuff. Paris Cullins is inking himself, which is very unusual. And even though I'm an inker, and I think I deserve more, I wasn't even in the business at this time, he does a magnificent job inking himself. It's really, really impressive. Love that panel there. Whoa. And he's experimenting with more stuff, because the first couple issues of Blue Beetle were kind of stiff. It was his first real gig. I like over here, it's got that Ditko flair to it. Talks about the original Blue Beetle that was around in the 40s. He had superpowers, and he was powered by a scarab. And for some reason, the scarab is making him insane. And the Blue Beetle just manages to stay one step ahead of him. And look at that little Gil Kane here, but that's okay. I mean, shit, Frank Miller did a lot of Gil Kane the first year of Daredevil. So, subplot. Yeah, look at all that detail. So, I don't know the story about this guy. He's a subplot character, too. He says, please, I must get through. And, yes, of course you must. So, he is like, he can mesmerize people. So, the battle's still going on. He summons the bug, his beautiful ship. I just love that. Steve Ditko designed all that. So, the original BB shoots at him, and then he says, that shell of a ship is impressive. Impressively strong, coward. Too bad you can't say the same about the windows. Okay, fellow, that does it. That's the third bloody viewport I've had broken this month. And tell the truth, I'm sick of it. And you've just made me mad. So he knocks him out to the ground, but it doesn't knock him out per se. So he's just staying one step ahead of him. Gets him to shoot this water tower. That water tower, it's still that part where it's like, it's obviously drawn as water, and it isn't a tower. You don't have to tell us that. But that stuff was still going on this year, like 1986, I think. Really neat stuff. So the Scarab is trying to take over Ted Kord. modern Blue Beetle. So, man, this is fantastic. Fantastic drawing, fantastic choreography, battle choreography. And, you know, Blue Beetle has no superpowers, but he's sort of trying to do what Spider-Man's doing. He's, you know, he doesn't have any superpowers, but he is just hitting and dodging and doing all that kind of stuff. And the Blue Beetle gets mesmerized by this guy showing up. And he sees how things have turned him into a monster. And he says, "Monster, what have you made of me? A hero." "No, not a hero, only a lousy pawn. You used me, now you're going to pay for it." So, and it turns out that it kills him. And I love that middle panel there. Wow. It's just so intense. Man, great story. Great art. And now for Monsters on the Prowl. I've gotten this habit, like a lot of my, let's say, Daredevil, Avenger, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Iron Man. I have collected all the books up to a certain point that I like, and then I stopped it. Like Spectacular Spider-Man, I stopped right before the Clone Saga. And same with Amazing. And just stuff like that. So, Monsters on the Prowl, what happened was, as a result of me not having new Daredevils to buy, I'm starting to buy these monster books from the early 70s, and some of them are full reprints, some of them are new, but these aren't the horror titles. The horror titles that I covered a couple years ago on my episode on Drew Geraci Comics is it was a whole different thing. They had all new stories, but they had the Marvel trappings, which kind of made the stories a little less edgy than DC's counterpoint or counterparts. So, one of those favorite opening pages by Kirby, and I like that a lot. It's Dick Ayers on the inks. Ooh, man, Love Light. I think someone was trying to do their own version of a lava lamp, so which a ton of those sold. So I don't know about the Love Light, though. Never seen one in the wild. Speaking of in the wild, Gorgilla. But it's dinosaur season. And it's a rumble in the jungle. So it all works out. Now, in the middle here is a news story. It's interesting because Alan Brodsky wrote it, and he wrote Iron Man for about a year, and it was okay. It was just okay. He kind of came and went, but Jayhawk is named as the penciler with a young Barry Smith inking, but Jayhawk is a pseudonym. It's actually Jack Katz, who started off in the Golden Age, worked for a lot of people like Simon and Kirby, also Matt Baker. So look him up on Wikipedia. He's worked with everybody. So he was pretty old at this time. Old for back then, like how old I am now. And he started self-publishing this book, oversized comic called The Magic Kingdom? No. It was The First Kingdom. And he did 24 issues in 12 years. And he wrote and illustrated. It's beautiful stuff. And he did some more stuff later on. He was just very creative. He did, I guess, on the side. I don't know, because that book never really sold that well. But Will Eisner even said that Jack Katz was one of the founders of the graphic novel in America. So, it's a very average story. It's okay. Basically, he goes to see this Egyptian god, and it turns out he can't get out, and so he's going to be trapped there for thousands of years. And here we got another Kirby. For a second, I thought it was inked by Ditko, but it's not. I looked it up, and it's Dick Ayers again. I love the way this guy looks. And he's not to be confused with Taboo, who was this smoky critter. And there's another Kirby monster that was similar. So, fear number... Al Unser. Now, you know how old you are if you actually remember that name. So, and that's it, everybody. I hope you liked it. Comic books are great. And tell me what you think, please. Say whatever you want. You can disagree with me. I never delete anything. And I don't get into a pissing match. I just love to share comics with my this community that we have together. So let me know if you've seen this. If you didn't know about this, let me know what you thought about this. It was a nice break from the Gang Wars story, because that got gummed up as well, by no fault of Falco or friends. So, Mr. X, let me know what you think. It's almost like pop art. That's what's amazing about it. And Blue Beetle, it was a very exciting issue. Really, really good stuff. And Monsters on the Prowl. So tell me what you think. Do you like these? Do you agree with my assessment of some of these? Do you not? Hey, please, leave as many comments as you can, because YouTube likes that. And if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe and notification button below. And if you're not getting notifications, I've heard from much bigger channels that if you unsubscribe and then subscribe again, hit the bell for notification, then you'll start getting notifications again. It's screwy. It's 2026. What can I say? All right, everybody, take care.